Hey guys, how's it going? My name's Munro. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you've had as good a Christmas as you can. Guys, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, 2020 is done. We are through. We made it. I'm so proud of us all. Bring on the existential horrors that 2021 has in store for us. So basically for most of this month I've been going through all the stuff that I listened to in 2020 as I've been writing my tunes of the year list and my albums of the year list, which you can find on my blog. Links are down below. I'm going to keep promoting those. Just bear with me on that. I have to get out my system, alright? There's an absolute ton of stuff on there, basically. The 30 favourite tunes of the year and then my 20 favourite albums of the year. And basically I just kind of judge this stuff on like what ended up meaning the most to me throughout the year. So it's, you know, it's a very personal list basically. If you want to disagree with it, start an argument in the comments. I'm in the mood. Let's do it. Let's get, you know, let's start 2021 with some fire and some anger and, you know, just get any kind of grudges that we had in 2020 and the kind of music tastes we're into off our chest right at the start, okay? As I've been listening to all those again, though, I've had a few kind of highlights from things that I just really enjoyed getting back into again. R.Y.C, or Raw Youth Collage by Masa, has been one of my favorites to go back to. This came out at the start of 2020, and I don't think it could have come at a better time for me because it's basically like, this is the sound of being 23. You know, as I've kind of left university and left my teenage years behind, I've sort of, you know, yet thrusted out quite quickly of that system. And so you sort of enter a bit of a limbo sometimes, and it can feel like you're in control, and then other times actually you sort of blink for a second and actually you're not in control and everything's going a bit crazy and you're just sort of trying to, you know, navigate the world basically as best you can. And Masa wrote an album that just turns all of that into sound, and it's wonderful. He's such a good producer. He always throws in his sort of very like minute and detailed electronica, and on R.Y.C in particular, he throws in a lot of kind of indie style guitars that were very common in the indie scene of the UK in sort of the early 2010s. So lots of stuff that I grew up with basically, which I think is why I resonate with it so much. Also on the list was Ho, Why Is You Here by Flo Milli. I feel so white saying that out loud, but oh my god, Flo Milli is just so awesome to listen to because with everything that she does, she just sort of arrives in the most, like, you know, gallivanting and crazy style, and she has so much like self-confident energy that she pummels into all of her music. Her style is so immutable. It's absolutely brilliant. And ever since I came across her stuff about maybe like a year and a bit ago, I've been really looking forward to having kind of a full release from her. And Ho, Why Is You Here is her first full-length mixtape. Every single one of the tunes on her mixtape just does not fail to deliver. She's always got like another like snarky remark to make or some other kind of beat she has to show off, and she just brings the same level of energy to every single cut. Like, you know, you put this on and whatever you're feeling that day just disappears. You're suddenly doused in adrenaline. It's just remarkable. I love everything that she does. And then also Fine Line by Harry Styles crept on the list as well. I know that it came out in 2019, but I only really started listening to it in 2020. Like, it dropped a week before Christmas, alright? No one had time to listen to it before the end of the year, okay? So it's on the list, it's my rules, it's my list. End of that conversation. But yeah, I've been listening to it on and off throughout the whole of the year. I've got a lot of friends that really enjoyed it as well. And like getting back into it again recently, it's just kind of, you know, it's great. It's reminded me of why I love it so much, to be honest. For me, this really is the best guitar-led pop record in years, maybe even decades. I don't know, to be honest. We've had such a drought of like guitar and rock influenced music within the charts and within popular stuff for so long now. Like, we've had to put up with, like, you know, fucking Shawn Mendes and Ed Sheeran. Like, we set the bar so low. What was wrong with us? When historians look back on this period, they will question what the fuck we were thinking. Thank God we have Harry Styles to save us on that. You know, I'm a little bit biased perhaps in this because I just adore him. You know, he's just, that was not a reference to one of his songs, by the way, just to be clear. And he's become someone, you know, with Fine Line, he became so much more of an artist, and he really felt like he was able to express himself a lot more than I think he had done previously with One Direction or with his debut solo album, and that's just great to see. Adore You, what a song. Oh my gosh, it just gets better and better the more you listen to it. And then my absolute favourite is She. I mean, like, it's what it just makes me feel. It's just so incredible, so dark and lusty. That song, every time I've listened to it, it's been the absolute pinnacle of the album. Like, I wait for that moment specifically just to listen to it again, and he nails every part of that. Mwah. So yeah, make sure to go check out those lists if you want to see my full thoughts and all the other records and songs that I include on there. Once again, links are in the description. I'm not going to stop saying that, so don't you worry, all that's out the way now. This month I've also been really getting into the work of Ayesha Erotica. This is basically a cry for help with my TikTok addiction, okay? Her stuff basically just keeps coming up on videos that are appearing on my For You page. Her sound just has this like electric quality to it that is so hard to ignore the moment you start listening to it. And that is just so perfectly suited to the kind of edgy Gen Z energy that is so common to be found on TikTok. There's quite a story behind her as well. She worked a lot with someone called Slayyter, who's another artist that's very popular on TikTok as well. And she dropped a couple of releases sort of around 2016 to 2018. And then on the cusp of releasing her debut album, she got doxxed. And a lot of that was because she kept quite a low profile. There's a lot of kind of mystery behind who she was, and even now the information that's available about her is still very, very limited. And basically it seems like the doxing just kind of put her off, you know, being a public figure altogether, which is entirely fair enough. And so she basically took early retirement and has completely disappeared for the time being. There are a few new releases like on Spotify and sort of lurking around the internet as well, so I don't know if we sort of count that as new music or stuff that she just hadn't previously released. The fact that there's just so little music and that it's been so concentrated and so popular on TikTok, like that just ticks boxes in my head that make me like, okay, I need to like, you know, listen to this and get into it. Her sound is like constantly on the cusp of being controversial and just sort of breaking into something completely horrendous, but she just holds the line enough. And because she's got a certain suaveness to the way that she just delivers all of her lyrics, it means that like it's such a spectacle to watch, which is weird to say for songs that in most cases aren't really much more than 2.5 minutes long. My favorite songs from her are Literal Legend, and That's Hot. I can't describe them much more than that other than just go and listen to them. Either you'll like them or you won't like it at all, but I think the mystery behind her is awesome. It's so cool. Let's finish this goddamn tea, good lord. Right, I kind of fancy a change in scenery just to kind of spice things up a little bit. I'm staying with my parents for Christmas and we're in the middle of the countryside, so, you know, I want to make the most of the great outdoors. But before we do that though, let's get a quick outfit check. So today's outfit basically is kind of my sort of baggy, comfy 90s, I want to stay comfy but also present myself quite nicely sort of outfit. I've got my nice blue jeans on, I've got my Planet Hollywood t-shirt. I haven't actually been to Planet Hollywood in Orlando, which is where this t-shirt came from. I got it from a vintage store, but I've not really got any intentions to go anyway, and to be honest, I kind of like the irony and the aesthetic as well. And also, I'm wearing a necklace out for the first time ever. Tell me your thoughts on that. This is quite a new journey for me, really. I've usually kept them tucked in up until now, but I feel like there's just a growing fashion to have this out. And you know what? I like what it's doing, basically. Hell yeah. You join me in the great outdoors, and as you can see, it is great to be outdoors. I don't know what we're going for there, babe. This is sort of like a rustic kind of flannel work jacket. We're kind of mixing that with the sort of the autumn leaves that have been muddied by winter. It's very overcast as well. There's nothing sort of left on the trees. This is one of my favourite times of the year, by the way, guys. I absolutely love December. There's one record in particular this month that I've been listening to that really reflects this kind of sort of, you know, need to revel in some moodiness, and that is Infected by The. This was the second full-length LP from Matt Johnson's artistic alternative project called The. He's been the only consistent member, I think, throughout all of its time. They've kind of been on and off over the years. Loads of other artists have collaborated with them. If you're looking for an alternative artist that hasn't been commandeered by any particular aesthetic as of yet, you know, The are the place to go. There's just such a wealth of music within their discography. This month has been the first time I've actually probably listened to Infected in full. It came at the peak of Thatcher's Britain, and it was really an introspective look where Matt Johnson was kind of delving into himself to see how the kind of the changes to the sort of social, economic and political makeup of the country at the time had affected him and others around him personally. Generally, the message that he's going for is that basically capitalism has infected every single part of our lives and it's kind of destroying it. or, you know, maligning it in some way. One thing also which is very, very interesting is that he looks at kind of UK and US relations, and in particular how the UK was kind of wanting to emulate US culture and how US culture was sort of making its way into the UK. And it's not really something that I think has been explored, you know, in a purely sonic way. You know, he doesn't really reference too much in terms of lyrics. It's more in the kind of sounds and instrumentation that he's using where he actually explores this. He sort of mixes the kind of alternative rock sound that he built for himself at the time with the sort of brash, overly produced and very, very cheesy sort of 80s power rock and power ballads that were coming out of the US at the time. There's a lot of... There's a car alarm going off. What it does is it just makes so many clever references to the kind of music that was in the American charts at the time, and blends it with the alternative sound that was coming out of the UK at the time. And just the mix of that, you know, it's a very unique combination. And, you know, Infected is therefore kind of a good record to listen to if you're just feeling a bit shit about kind of late stage capitalism and the way that it's kind of ruining all of our lives. Basically, this is the record for you in that case. I also ended up getting back into Loose by Nelly Furtado. This was her 2006 record, and for me it is her best work by far. The 3 lead singles in particular that came from this album, which were Promiscuous, Man-Eater and Say It Right, are so timeless and they have so much quality to them. They are just gorgeous bits of R&B that scream 2006 from top to bottom. They have that Timbaland production, which is just... oh, it just gives me a feeling right here, you know, it's just so good. And Nelly Furtado on this record, I think, you know, she just sounds so confident. She sounds so much of herself. She really, you know, pours all the attitude that she brought to her music into this album. For me, it's her most complete project overall, and the one that I think was, you know, the most fully realized. Say It Right in particular, like, oh my gosh, I've always been a fan of Promiscuous and Man-Eater, but Say It Right, it's got a sort of melancholic tinge to it, and the way that she kind of just saunters through all the lyrics and the moods that it delivers. It's almost poignant in a way, and, you know, it's one of those songs that really makes you realize what a talent Nelly Furtado was. Anyway, guys, that's going to wrap it up for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're all safe and well wherever you are. Lots more videos on the way, guys. I've got lots of ideas that I want to share with you. Thank you so much for watching again, guys, and I'll see you later.